Welcome to the Folk School on Willow Creek, featuring University Distinguished Professor Tom Easern, singing and telling stories from the Salon on Willow Creek.
I need a bed for the night, boys, and my horses need hay. I've been a-riding that grub line on the hot dish highway. One day I thought I'd have some fun and see how punching cows was done. So when the roundup had begun, I tackled a cattle king. Says he my foreman's gone to town. He's in that saloon and his name is Brown. See him and maybe he'll take you down. Says I, that's just the thing. Well, we started for the ranch next day. Brown talked to me most all the way. He said punching cows was nothing but fun. There's nothing to do but ride. But Jiminy Christmas, how he lied. He surely had his gall. They put me in charge of the covey yard, 140 head to guard, and to watch them was nothing but play. Unless one should break, and after him my horse would take, unless perhaps my horse should fall. And then I'd shoot out like a cannonball till the earth came in my way. Well, they saddled me up an old gray hack with big set fast upon his back. They packed him up with a gunny sack, and they used my bedding all. When I got onto this old gray hack, he went in the air to turn around. When I come down, he struck the ground. I had a terrible fall. Well, they picked me up, they carried me in, then they rubbed me down with a rolling pin. And then says Brown, if you don't die, we'll get you another bronco to try. But won't you let me walk, says I, yes, into town, says Brown. Well, come young men, take my advice. Get heavy insurance on your life. Kiss your pretty little wife. And shoot yourself with a butcher knife, for that's the easiest way to die. Well, you may have heard that one before with the Willow Creek Folk School, but you didn't hear it quite like that because this is a different version, a different text from a different place and a different time, and a particular place. Now, this song is well known in the southern plains, and it moves up with the cattle industry to the northern plains, and it even gets into the middle of Dakota Territory and into the middle of the future state of North Dakota. As a matter of fact, this text I was just singing is presented in a 1909 article by George F. Will of Bismarck. That's the son of the seed dealer, Oscar Will. Oscar sent George off to Harvard to get him a BA, and he came back with an abiding interest in anthropology, but he was still supposed to be running the family garden seed business, which he did. But he was something of a Renaissance man, which I think you could be in those days. I'll talk a little bit more about George F. Will as we circle back on him later on. But the thing is, he learned these songs from particular people. This one, Punching Cows, he called it. In other cases, it's known as the Horse Wrangler, or sometimes as Punching Cows. It's got a lot of different names. Punching Cows is what George Will called it. Probably that's what Mr. William Sunderland of Bismarck called it. I looked that up, and this was a guy, he was a hired hand for his father's seed business. But he was more than that. He appeared to be kind of a minder for George on some of his anthropological adventures. Again, I'll circle back on that. But that's a cowboy song published in the American Folklore Journal in 1909 by George F. Will of Bismarck, a BA from Harvard, not a professional scholar. He's one of our two original song catchers at that time in North Dakota, George Will, and then Franz Rickaby from Grand Forks. So that's the Tenderfoot to start out here, and our theme tonight is the Tenderfoot on the range. That might be me, it might be various other characters that come up here. Well, Dr. K, have you pretty much been idle at NDSU Press this week?
You're going to make me hysterical here. We've been pretty busy, actually. And I'm going to send out some kudos to my graduate assistant, Mike, who spent almost this whole week at the North Dakota Library Association conference, which was here in Fargo. And he got to take the stage, too, because we, NDSU Press, sponsored the Champion of Libraries Award.
Yeah.
So I'll have more information about who the winner was for that and how that worked. But he got to take stage and take the bow, and right now he's out in St. Paul, Minnesota, because tomorrow is the huge Twin Cities Book Festival. There'll probably be about 4,000 people traipsing through there, and that's his first time to get to go, but he'll be handling our exhibit table again, and two of our authors will be there throughout the day. Paul Legler, who wrote Half the Terrible Things, and Deborah Marquardt, whose newest book, Gratitude with Dog Under
That's
Stars.
my cue. Hang on.
It just came out. She'll be there for a couple hours in the afternoon from 2 to 4, and Paul is there from 10 to 1, which gives Mike a chance to get to go attend some sessions too. So it's all working out beautifully.
Gratitude with Dogs Under Scars. And Deborah gave a fine reading from this book last night at the Zambros store here in Fargo. Taylor, you missed it. Yeah.
Well, that was her official launch, I think. She said, This is the first time I've read from this book for a crowd.
Yeah,
so
if people aren't part of a literary crowd somewhere, this is a strange thing, that authors do. Poets in particular, but authors of fiction. And since I've started writing more literary nonfiction and not just stuff with footnotes, I do readings myself. But a reading, you get up and you read from the book. Now you can imagine some people are really bad at this. I mean, I've seen extremely celebrated authors who could not read their own work to save their lives.
There's some skills involved. So one thing is that the author prepares in advance and flags some passages to read. But what the audience is there mostly is to hear mostly they want to hear from the author how they came to write that piece or some anecdote about
something behind the
that
scenes.
Happened. Yeah. So you get a mix of behind the scenes and the reading itself. And when they're good readers, it can't be beat.
But also just hear the voice come off of the page, too.
Yes.
And again, some authors are really good at this and some are not. Deborah's a good one. Taylor's a great one.
Some authors have the advantage of also being singers. You might know how that works. But Deb has a beautiful voice, and she sang a couple songs last night as well. So it was really a nice, relaxing experience to get to sit back and hear some songs and stories. Wait a minute, that's what we do here too.
That's got it. It's all the same game, isn't it? Or, as I always say, it's investing the land with story, right?
Yep.
We plow it up and then we plow it back in again. Like is the case with this next song that's going to come up, the Old Chisholm Trail. You may think you've heard it before. Maybe there's a little bit more we can tell you about it. I don't know. I've been singing this song for half a century, I believe. And only really thought about it seriously in the past week and maybe have some reflections. We're about to deposit it in the songbag here this evening, which means Dr. Kelly is going to tell you a little bit about the provenance, that is, where this song came from. And then you're going to have to do double duty because I'm going to start singing from multiple pages of text. This thing has 30 stanzas. It has actually way more, but these are the ones selected by John Lomax.
You're going to sing all 30?
Yeah, but they're only 2-line stanzas. So that's really only 15, right? You know the drill. I'll have them set up so you can flip the pages.
All right.
Okay, the Old Chisholm Trail, the classic ballad of the long drive. Provenance, Dr. K.
Okay. There is a conundrum associated with the ballad The Old Chisholm Trail. How is it that this most popular of all cowboy songs has such a murky origin? No one can name an author for it. No one can say just where it came from. It appears sui generis and genesis ignota in Cowboy Songs and Other Frontier Ballads in 1910. John A. Lomax gives us 30 stanzas, along with the famous Como Tye Yippee Yippee Yay refrain, but not a whiff of attribution. There are two good explanations why the ballad is scarce in print. First, it was a song of the cattle trail, sung by herders, and thus it lacked a home in print. Settler songs were registered and disseminated by print media, country town newspapers. Cowboy songs, however, dissipated into the air, unless a songcatcher intercepted them. Second, and this militated against the songcatchers bringing Old Chisholm Trail into the known canon, the song as it circulated was notoriously bawdy. Historian Guy Logsdon, undaunted by this, provides generous documentation of the seamy side of this rogue ballad. He writes, Lomax opted to use cleansed verses for the sake of polite society. He greatly influenced this song by his choice and arrangement of verses, for singers have been singing the verses in the Lomax sequence since 1910. Nevertheless, the song, by all accounts, circulated widely along the trail. The Old Chisholm Trail, perhaps the earliest and one of the most popular of the cowboy songs, is a prime example of a trail driving song, writes the cowboy scholar Jim Hoy. It was sung by the cowboy during the daytime to entertain himself during the long days spent moving cattle north. Lomax writes in a newspaper piece the following: Such songs as Lulu Girl and Tye-Ya Yippee Yippee Yay were certainly composed by a number of people, each man adding verses as he saw fit. This ballad is said to be as long as the trail from Texas to Montana, upon the tedious marches of which the most of it was doubtless composed. Of this song, one man writes, There is one that is really endless. Nobody knows all of it. Sitting around the campfire one night in western Oklahoma, I heard 104 stanzas of this elastic composition, and the singer apologized for not knowing all of it and referred me to a co-partner of early days who could sing it in full. However, I have become convinced that the person who knows all of this ballad is a myth, and that each singer, with native Western modesty, refers to someone who knows all of it in order that his own performance may not seem so wonderful. This little essay by Lomax reveals why he was so taken with the ballad. It was a Western specimen of that mythic interpretation of balladic origins that his mentors at Harvard propounded, the theory of communal origin of ballads, songs composed piecemeal by multiple singers. Communal authorship of ballads, as Louise Pound famously argued in the Ballad Wars that animated scholars of her era, was not at all common on the Great Plains. This was why Lomax loved the Old Chisholm Trail.
Come along, boys, and listen to my tale. I'll tell you of my troubles on the Old Chisholm Trail. Come a tie-ya, yippee, yippee, yay, yippee, yay. Come a tie-ya, yippee, yippee, yay. I started up the trail October 23rd. Started up the trail with a two you heard. Come a tie-ya, yippee, yippee, yay, yippee, yay. Come a tie-ya, yippee, yippee, yay. On a $10 horse and a $40 saddle, I'm a-goin' to punchin' Texas cattle. Come a tie-ya, yippee, yippee, yay, yippee, yay. Come a tie-ya, yippee, yippee, yay. Woke up in the morning on the Old Chisholm Trail, rope in my hand and a cow by the tail. Come a tie, yippee, yippee, yay, yippee, yay, come a tie, yippee, yippee, yay. Up in the morning afore daylight, and afore I sleep the moon shines bright. Come a tie, yippee, yippee, yay, yippee, yay, come a tie, yippee, yippee, yay. Old Ben Bolt was a blame good boss. He'd go to see the gals on the sore-back toss. Come a tie, yippee, yippee, yay, yippee, yay, come a tie, yippee, yippee, yay. Old Ben Bolt was a fine old man, and you know there was whiskey wherever he'd land. Come a tie, yippee, yippee, yay, yippee, yay, come a tie, yippee, yippee, yay. Now my horse threw me off at a creek called Mud. He throwed me off, ran the two you heard. Come a tie, yippee, yippee, yay, yippee, yay, come a tie, yippee, yippee, yay. Now the last time I seen him was going across the level, kicking up his heels and running like a devil. Come a tie, yippee, yippee, yay, yippee, yay, come a tie, yippee, yippee, yay. Now it's cloudy in the west and looking like rain, and my damned old slicker's in the wagon again. Come a tie, yippee, yippee, yay, yippee, yay, come a tie, yippee, yippee, yay. I crippled my horse and I don't know how, roping at the corns of a hoot, roping at the horns of a two-you cow. Come a tie, yippee, yippee, yay, yippee, yay, come a tie, yippee, yippee, yay. I don't think you could rope at the corns of a steer. That'd be a pretty good healer, wouldn't it? Now we hit Caldwell and we hit her on the fly, and we bedded down the cattle on a hill nearby. Come a tie, yippee, yippee, yay, yippee, yay, come a tie, yippee, yippee, yay. No chaps, no slicker, and it's pouring down a rain, and I swear by God I'll never night hurt again. Come a tie, yippee, yippee, yay, yippee, yay, come a tie, yippee, yippee, yay. With my feet in the stirrups and my seat in the saddle, and I hung and I rattled with them long-haired longhorn cattle. Come a tie, yippee, yippee, yay, yippee, yay, come a tie, yippee. Got a whole lot of words, got a whole lot of words, Last night I was on guard and the leader broke the ranks. Hit my horse in the shoulders and spurred him in the flanks. Come a tie, yippee, yippee, yay, yippee, yay, come a tie, yippee, yippee, yay. Well, the wind commenced to blow and the rain began to fall, and it looked my grab we were going to lose them all. Come a tie, yippee, yippee, yay, yippee, yay, come a tie, yippee, yippee, yay. Jumped in the saddle, grabbed a hold of the horn, best cow puncher that ever was born. Come a tie, yippee, yippee, yay, yippee, yay, come a tie, yippee, yippee, yay. Popped my foot in the stirrup and I gave a little yell, and a cattle broke in the leader. What the hell? Come a tie, yippee, yippee, yay, yippee, yay, come a tie, yippee, yippee, yay. Well, I don't give a damn if they ever do stop. I'll ride as long as an 8-day clock. Come a tie, yippee, yippee, yay, yippee, yay, come a tie, yippee, yippee, yay. Foot in the stirrup, hand on the horn, best damn cowboy ever was born. Come a tie, yippee, yippee, yay, yippee, yay, come a tie, yippee, yippee, yay. Heard it and I hollered and I done very well, till the boss said, boys, just let him go to hell. Come a tie, yippee, yippee, yay, yippee, yay, come a tie, yippee, yippee, yay. There's a stray in the herd and the boss said kill it, so I shot him in the rump with the handle of a skillet. Come a tie, yippee, yippee, yay, yippee, yay, come a tie, yippee, yippee, yay. Well, we rounded him up and we put him on the cars, and that was the last of the old 2 bars. Come a tie, yippee, yippee, yay, yippee, yay, tie, yippee, yippee, yay. Oh, it's bacon and a beans most every day. I'd as soon be eating prairie hay. Come a tie, yippee, yippee, yay, yippee, yay, come a tie, yippee, yippee, yay. I'm on my best horse and I'm going at a run. I'm the quickest shooting cowboy ever pulled a gun. Come a tie, yippee, yippee, yay, yippee, yay, come a tie, yippee, yippee, yay. Well, I went to the wagon to get my roll. Come back to Texas, Dad, burn my soul. Come a tie, yippee, yippee, yay, yippee, yay, tie, yippee, yippee, yay. Well, I went to the boss to draw my roll, and he figured me out $7 in the hole. Come a tie, yippee, yippee, yay, yippee, yay, come a tie, yippee, yippee, yay. I'll sell my outfit as soon as I can, and I won't punch cattle for no damn band. Come a tie, yippee, yippee, yay, yippee, yay, come a tie, yippee, yippee, yay. I'm a-going back to town to draw my money. I'm going back home to see my honey. Come a tie, yippee, yippee, yay, yippee, yay, come a tie, yippee, yippee, yay. With my seat in the saddle and my seat in the sky, I'll quit punching sweet by and by, come a tie, yippee, yippee, yay, yippee, yay, come a tie, yippee, yippee, yay. Did you count them? That was 30. And that's the Old Chisholm Trail. It may not be as long. You remember that old TV show, Rawhide? I always consider that kind of the definition of purgatory. That cattle drive, it seemed like it started over every week, and they were never any closer to Abilene, were they? What else we got going in here? I don't know. We had any guests with us tonight, Dr. K?
We do. I didn't realize this, but that British baking show, it's up against us. So too bad for the British bakers.
Oh, Lorley Wallam's watching her nephew play football, I believe.
Oh, is she?
And there's something else this Friday night too. I forget what.
I don't know. There's a lot of wind in Stafford, Kansas.
Yeah.
B. Lanning says 60-mile-per-hour winds there.
Yeah, it might blow down the corn, won't blow down the Milo, though. Oh. Hey, I want to say thanks to the people at Olivet Lutheran Church, particularly that select group that gathered for the Oliversity study group. That was, what night of the week was that? Wednesday night, wasn't it? Church night.
Sure.
Wednesday night.
Yeah.
Church night. Yeah. And I did the program of ballads and talked about fall suppers, which, hey, that's what we do here, on the invitation of Mickle Pates. So thanks, Mickle, and all the friends at Olivet for a good welcome.
Lori is here.
What?
She couldn't find the game, so.
Oh, yeah. Well, excellent. No,
So
that's terrible.
luckily, she had us to fall back on.
Not as much suspense here. I don't know, with her nephew's team, there's not usually very much suspense at all. It seems to be over about the second quarter usually with them.
In a good way, I hope.
Oh yeah, here's something I was going to mention. Been talking about fall suppers week after week. They kind of peaked in the last 2 weeks. Not so many, but I know one that's just outstanding. Let me mention it. If you're from the western part, West River of North Dakota, you want to get into Carson on Sunday, this Sunday, serving from 10:30 to 1 o'clock, the St. Teresa Oktoberfest. They will be serving Fleischkekle, strudel, German sausage, krautnip, German potato salad, glorified rice. Must have been some Norwegians that got in there somehow. Neflesuppe, Borschsuppe, slaw, Kugen, and Blachenda.
Wait a minute. How far away are we from that?
Yeah, we're about 250 miles. It's great country in there. And you probably pick up a pheasant or two along the way. Plus, there's going to be bingo. Yeah, after the food, I suspect. Yeah, that is a full meal deal. They're serving it in the Grant County Fair building in Carson. Well, if you're living the other end of the state, not southwest but northeast, I don't know, for some reason Walsh County holds its fair on into the fall like this. October 18th to 21st, Park River, North Dakota, the Walsh County Fair with, the print, as I printed out the poster, is too small for me to read. I do know that if you got young ones, they can enter the pedal tractor pull. And a little bit bigger than that, they can enter the mutton busting, 4-H tractor driving contest, little eye showmanship contest, youth and adult potato picking matches. This sounds like a real homegrown event, doesn't it? Yeah, that's on the 18th through the 21st in Park River. On our little Facebook group, Heritage Trails, the Center for Heritage Renewal here, we post these kind of events, and you can look them up if you like. Any other announcements yet, Dr.
We have
Kay?
a score in from the Medicine Lodge Ellenwood game.
Yes.
Medicine Lodge 35, Ellenwood Goose egg.
Well, they just haven't started scoring yet.
oh, that's probably it. No,
got them where we want them.
Third quarter. They're saving it for the
No,
last.
that's sounds bad. Why, in my day, we occasionally scored.
What? In your day?
Yeah, we occasionally scored, but not that often, unfortunately. I mentioned I'd circle back on the subject of George Will, this Renaissance man from the Northern Plains, headquartered out of Bismarck, ran the Oscar Will Seed Company, and succeeding his father in that, but just did so much stuff. Here's his necrology, fancy name for an obituary, in 1955. On October 2nd of 1955, in Bismarck, North Dakota, death came suddenly and unexpectedly to George Francis Will, a quiet, friendly, unassuming individual in whom business acumen was happily combined with a scholar's devotion to learning. His passing removed from the plain scene another key figure in anthropology. Such was his ability at self-effacement that few realized the extent of his accomplishments in the service of his fellow men. He covered his tracks well. Yet one who knew him called him one of the most important non-professional archaeologists we have ever had. Born in Bismarck in 1884, Bismarck Public Schools, worked with his father's seed business, off to Harvard, back to run the business, and to travel a great deal around western North Dakota, not necessarily on seed business. And one of his companions with his fellow Sunderland, who he got the Punching Cows song from, I talked about. Then he's back into the Journal of American Folklore several years later with a selection of cowboy ballads. Hey, where's that? Hang on. No, I got it. Songs of Western Cowboys, he writes. Yeah, Songs of Western Cowboys, Journal of American Folklore. And he says, the 3 cowboy songs given here were all obtained from Mr. Otis Tye, T-Y-E, of Yucca, North Dakota. Oh, this just kind of set my mind to spinning. He's got these cowboy ballads from Otis Tye. And who the heck was Otis Tye? Well, you know, it's possible to research all kinds of people today. And what I find is Otis Tye was an old-time cowboy back in the 1880s in Dakota Territory. He rode for the E6 and other big Texas outfits before the bad winter. And then he did a variety of things. I see here in the 1890s, for a while, he was deputy sheriff of Burleigh County. And here, I can cut through to his obituary, and it tells us a little bit here. And then I got to circle back after that. Where is it? That's not it. All right, it's in this. Otis Tye. Okay, he's the real deal. Okay, here's a photograph of Otis Tye from his days riding for the big outfits in the open range. This is not like a studio portrait where you go in and dress up like a cowboy, you know, play acting. This is the real guy. That's Otis Tye. Otis Tye, 86, in 1946. Otis Tye, 86, well-known Oliver County pioneer, died late Wednesday in the Bismarck Hospital, taken from his home in Yucca, North Dakota. I think that's across the line in Oliver County, but not far from Bismarck. Death attributed to heart trouble and old age. Born in Iowa, 1860, young man drove a team of oxen for a freight company which operated between Bismarck and the Black Hills. June 9, 1891, united in marriage with Miss Lizzie Galloway of Bismarck. They celebrated, before he died, his 55th wedding anniversary. It was actually his second wife, and so start adding them up and the number would get pretty high. But he's all over the newspapers in the central part of the state, include not just his activities as deputy sheriff, but here, 1908, Will Visit the Badlands. George Will, okay, that's our anthropologist. William Sunderland, the other hand who's passing ballads, and Otis Tye left Tuesday afternoon for a trip through the Badlands. They'll be gone for about a month. George will study the archaeological formations the geological formations to be found there. Okay, Sunderland, the old man sent him along as a minder, I'm sure, for George. Otis Tye is along because he likes an adventure and because he can handle any situation that comes up. Good man to have around. And how do I know that he can handle most any situation? He himself, in 1945, wrote a 5-part autobiography published in the Mandan Press. And there's plenty of adventure and rough and ready activity in that thing. So Otis Tye, gotta have to find out more about him and eventually bring him into the known universe of our 21st century. So he gave George Wills several songs. One of them I definitely recognize, except the words are a little different than what I know. You'll recognize the tune, and you'll notice little differences. Where the buffalo roam, where the deer and the antelope play, where seldom is heard a discouraging word, and the skies are not cloudy all day. Discouraging word, and the skies are not cloudy all day. Now, I want to point out that Otis Tye gave this song to George Will in 1909, and that's a year before John Lomax discovered it for the rest of the country. How often at night, when the summer was bright, alone 'neath the stars I would stray. I stood there amazed, and I asked as I gazed if beauty could excel that of ours. Oh, I love the wild flowers in this dear land of ours. I love to hear the wild curlew scream, or the bluffs and high rocks where the antelope flocks graze on the mountaintop green. Oh, skies are not cloudy all day. Oh, give me a gale with an orbital whale, where life in its streams busily flow on the banks of Platte River, where seldom, if ever, the poisonous syringes grow, where the air is so pure, the breeze is so free, the zephyr would not exchange my home on the range for another, be it ever so bright. Where the deer and the antelope play, where seldom is heard but a scourging word, and the skies are not cloudy all day. Now the prairies all checkered with buffalo paths, where once they roamed proudly to and fro, but now they've grown dim where the hunters have been, and the cowboys have laid them so low. The red men were pressed in this part of the West, and it's likely they ne'er will return. For the farmers, they start in search of these parts, whatever the story they learn. Where the deer and the antelope play, where seldom is heard a discouraging word, and the skies are not cloudy all day. Thank you, Otis Tye, by way of George Will. Kansas, you can have your song back now, but we borrowed it there for a while.
You got some hearts for that one.
Well, I would hope so. For the song, of course. We're going to bring it home here in just a moment, Kelly.
Okay.
Let me get arranged here. Got anything to throw into the pot for you?
We have an update on the Medicine Lodge
Do we
Ellenwood game.
Do we want to know?
49-0 in the fourth.
Do they have a 7 touchdown rule or anything? You know that they could.
I don't know.
I think they stop. I think they run the clock continuously, at least when it gets to that point. All right. Well, I've got kind of a selection of fall calendar ballads to wrap up with, all right? We got 2 hard freezes this week. You know, the row crops, they can stay in the garden a little while longer, but otherwise been salvaging. The freezer's kind of full, Dr. K.
I'm eating as fast as I can.
Can't eat it up. So long to the mosquitoes, farewell to all the flies. I hope that every biting bug in all Dakota dies. There are things about the summer that we will not miss at all, but I feel a little heartache come the first frost in the fall. We're cleaning up the garden that we planted in the spring. We're canning tomatillos and we're a-pickling everything. We'll roast the birds of autumn and we'll live upon the land. With all the summer's bounty we have frozen, dried, and canned. Now the propane man is coming and he's topping up our tank. We started our snowblower just to make sure it would crank. We're rolling up the hammocks, but getting out the Nordic skis. Bring bringing in the best geraniums that we don't want to freeze. So now I'm a-feeling better about the onset of the fall. We'll hole up and read the books we've stacked along the hall. We will recall the summer in the waning winter light and surrender to the quiet of a long, long winter night. Now the lifters and the beat truck drivers all labor now in one accord. Likewise, the saints in our church basements, they strain to fill the groaning board. The gloaming light on sheaf and bale, our fields with golden beauty grow, and still the gathering dusk reminds us the certainty of darkened snow. We view the red haw and the bullberry, by which the musty grouse are fed, the pembina with beads of crimson, the sumac sacrificial red, the murmuration of red-winged cry, the fowl who course across our skies, surrounding by these fading wonders, we stand together, you and I, with a deer in the antelope lane. Thought one spring, just for fun, I'd see how punching cows was done. Before the roundup was begun, I tackled a cattle king. Said he my boss, he's down in town. Well, he's at the palace and his name is Brown. I think to the ranch he'll take you down. Just what I want, says I. Come on, you puncher, don't you listen to my tale. I'll tell you all my troubles on the Old Chisholm Trail. I'm a Tye, yippee, 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 come Tye, yippee, yippee. Now the long freight of autumn goes smoking, smoking out of the land. My possibles are all packed up, but still I do not leave. I'm happy enough here, where Dakota drifts wild, where the prairie shakes, the surf in the winter door, where the deer in the antelope play, where seldom is heard a discouraging word, and the skies are not cloudy all day. Though the skies are not cloudy, they are not cloudy. The skies are not cloudy all the day. Though the skies are not cloudy all day. Dr. K?
We haven't talked a bit about calendar. Next Friday, I'll be at Braddock with students.
Oh my goodness.
And the following Friday, we're in LA. So how do we close out this?
Well, how do we close this out? You're out to Braddock next Friday. I'll tell you what. I'm just going to sit down and do a very informal program here by myself next Friday.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, if there are any particular favorites from the 3-year history of the Willow Creek Folk School, you can put them into the chat line here now, or drop a line and we'll work them in. And we'll just have a bit of a conversation here.
Sounds
in a
great.
week. At the usual time and place, I'll be right here. What do you say?
All right.
And the following week then, 2 weeks from tonight, we're in LA. And I think I
That's
explained before that, probably not going to do it from LA.
Yeah. All right. We now conclude today's edition of the Folk School on Willow Creek. We invite you to join us again next Friday at 8 p.m. Central Time for more songs and stories.